All right. Shalom, fellow kids. My name is Cody Bannard, and today I am going to be discussing my thoughts on the new record from Rye titled In. Rye is a one-man atmospheric metal project from Russia created by Vladimir Frith. I've been very intrigued by his cinematic and melancholic blend of black metal, doom metal, post-rock, and even some Nordic folk flourishes since I listened to his debut album titled It Is Eternal back in 2021, which is also an honorable mention on my top 50 albums of 2021. Everything that made his debut album so interesting to me is refined and expanded on this sophomore record under his Rye moniker. Much like his debut record, the timbre is so massive and everything is so grand in scale that it makes it hard to believe that everything was all created by just one man. Just as a quick preface, I did use Google Translate to translate the names of each individual song into English so that I can refer to them more easily. The opening track, titled Farewell, is a very appropriate and effective opening to the record. The track starts with these very haunting, droning ambiances that slowly build cinematic tension before the track introduces some genuinely emotive Blackgaze fury. Following that, the track titled Three-Legged Victory is, surprisingly enough, an almost entirely Nordic folk number. I absolutely love the atmosphere of this cut, as well as the way that it slowly builds and evolves over the course of its 6-minute runtime, without leading up to this explosive finale in order to retain its genuinely mysterious atmosphere. Goodbye. I am left alone in the streets of Mexico. Okay, here we go. Track 3, titled Truth, begins with these admittedly kind of standard post-black metal and Blackgaze soundscapes, but as the song progresses, it does get increasingly beautiful, and I especially love its ambient interlude during its second act, where the Nordic folk elements begin to really shine. And I love how the clean vocals from this section subtly persist during the track's third act when the electric guitars kick back in to add even more atmosphere during the song's finale. Towards the very, very end of the song, the clean vocals do get a little bit more melodic, and at that point of the track, I do wish that they were given a bit more room to breathe in the mix so that the melody can stand out a little bit more easily, but that is just a minor complaint that doesn't really affect my enjoyment of this piece all that much. After track 4, titled Calling Me, which is this sort of ambient interlude, we get track 5 titled Forever, which is yet another post-black metal number that, again, sort of slowly and effectively evolves over the course of its nearly 9-minute runtime. Track 6, which is, the album's 6th and final track, as well as its lead single titled Amen, is a 14.5-minute doom metal masterwork, in my opinion. After this brief and somber post-rock infused intro, we are hit with this absolutely oppressive yet immersive wall of guitar noise. And much like most of the other tracks on this record, the further you get into this song, the more massive and emotional it becomes, before everything culminates in this absolutely stunning finale with these soaring, tribal-sounding clean vocals to make the song's climax feel even more cinematic. To close out this piece, as well as the album as a whole, the track showcases these very somber and mournful and, to an extent, somewhat hymn-like vocal harmonies, which effectively kind of settles the listener out of the experience. In case you couldn't tell already, I find this track to be probably the biggest highlight of the record. And I do especially find it just a little bit more moving than tracks 3 to 5 in particular, even though I do find those tracks also very well made and enjoyable. And while to an extent this does make sense, considering that Amen is meant to be this sort of emotional climax to the record, the fact that this track was released as a single back in the beginning of June of last year did make a good chunk of the rest of the record feel a little bit underwhelming in comparison, even though I still did thoroughly enjoy it. It's almost like watching a really awesome trailer for a movie that unfortunately spoils the end. However, this is really more of an issue with the way that Vladimir released singles for this record leading up to it, and is less of a problem with the album itself. And it is also something that I can relatively look past in order to appreciate this record as a whole. And what it is as a whole, in my opinion, is a thoroughly impressive and emotionally charged and ambitious piece of music that I would highly recommend for any fan of any sort of atmospheric metal music to check out, especially if you haven't heard anything from this record yet, so that you could fully experience it as a whole for the first time. And so, yeah, those are my thoughts on this new Rye record. Have you given it a listen? If so, feel free to discuss your thoughts on it in the comments down below. And yep, I'll see you guys next time.